Human beings, my friends, are devolving, not evolving. There is no hope for a future Superman and immortality. It ain't gonna happen. We are devolving, and I'll show you here in just a second. It's let me get. So I'm reading this book right here by John Sanford, Genetic Entropy and the Mystery of the Genome. And first of all, I gotta get my reading glasses because our eyesight is devolving as you get older. If we were evolving, wouldn't your eyesight get better and crisper? Interesting, huh? So we're going to read, it's just such a good book. And he had come up, what I do is, anytime I read a book that's of interest, I do what Nassim Nicholas Taleb talks about, building his anti-library. I get one book, I do look at the notes that he takes, I look at the references, and I usually buy 3 or 4 to add to the book I read. So for every book I get, there's 4 more added. For every book I read, there's 4 more added. It's an anti-library. It's very, very frustrating because I have all this data that I want to read and I just not enough time in a human being's life. And then in fact, I waste so much of it on stupid social media. Thankfully, I'm not on Facebook and Twitter. You waste so much time on that crap. It's almost like design. They don't want you to read. They want you on there with some stupid wasting of time. I'm going to tell that guy to own the libs. I'm going to tell that guy to own the right. Look, I do it too. Anyway, so he had this. So I'm reading some of the notes, the references, and he came across this one. Actually, I wonder, do the old days, in medieval times, how do we know that their eyes were bad? How do we know that? Because you think, if I did not have LASIK and I didn't have glasses, I was dead to the world, man. I could not do crap because I couldn't see anything. You know what I'm saying? That's why I got LASIK. It's one of the best preps you can do is LASIK surgery. So that way you can see without having glasses. Because remember little Piggy in that movie, Lord of the Rings or Lord of the Flies? I think it was Lord of the Flies in the book. They stepped on his glasses so he couldn't see. He was worthless. I'm worthless without my specs, but then I got LASIK. But now I can't, I can't read this. So I have to go in this. So anyway, and he got an article from Nature magazine in 1999 written by Philip Kitely and Adam Ear Walker, which we're going to read because this is fantastic. You got to stay in here, man. Stay in here. This will be mind-blowing. I'm telling you. This will change your life. And I found it, finally. It took me a while, but I finally just went to this guy's website. He's a professor over at the Center for Study of Evolution and School of Biological Sciences at the University of Sussex. And I guess that's in the UK. So probably took me 20 minutes to be able to find the PDF for this. So again, it's a Nature magazine in 1999. But Josh, that's 20 years ago. They certainly got better data now. I bet they have not. But, hey, prove me wrong. That's fine. That's for you to do. Get off Facebook, get off Twitter, get off YouTube, and look for your own self. I don't know. But anyway, so we're gonna read something. This is fantastic. It has been estimated that there are many as 100 new mutations in the genome of each individual human. If a small fraction of these mutations are deleterious and removed by selection, it is difficult to explain how human populations could have survived. Did you hear that? If even a small fractions of these mutations are deleterious and removed by selection, it is difficult to explain how human populations could have survived. And going back to my man John Sanford, he says there's another article, which I haven't read yet, but he talks about it. It's there's a guy named Kondrashov who says basically how come we haven't died 100 times over? And I can't find the article off the top of my head, so I'll come back to that. I'm not going to read that here today. But anyway, okay, so let's keep going. If the effects of mutations act in a multiplicative way, the proportion of individuals that become selectively eliminated from the population, proportion of genetic deaths, where U is the deleterious mutation rate per diploid. So U is how many mutations are bad per diploid. So a high rate of deleterious mutations, U is greater than 1, is paradoxical in a species with low reproductive rates. Furthermore, if a significant fraction of new mutations is mildly deleterious, these may accumulate in a population with small effective sizes, or in populations in which selection has been relaxed. Selection just, I'm taking a break. Leading to a gradual decline in fitness. And human beings have a low reproduction rate. And we're getting lower every single generation. It has been argued that an accumulation of mildly deleterious mutant alleles could have long-term consequences for human health. Exactly. So we're going to come down here. I thought this was incredibly interesting. He talks about generations being 25 years. So we got, let's see, right here. Human and chimpanzees diverged 6 times 10 to the 6 years ago. I find that funny. So we assume the average generation time in the human lineage has been 25 years since the split with the chimpanzees. Just one day we said, we're out of here. We're going our own way. We're going to go our own way. 25 years may actually be an underestimate of the generation time. From studies of modern hunter-gatherer human societies, 3 estimates for the mean age at reproduction for mothers are 27, 28, and 28. The average age for moms at reproduction in hunter-gatherer societies was 27 and 28. For fathers, they're 32, 35, and 34. Yeah. But everyone's dying at 40 years old. The mean reproduction in the hunter-gatherer time was in the late 20s, mid-30s, depending on if you're a man or a woman. I know there's 82 genders now, but isn't that nuts? But everyone's dying before that, Josh. Apparently not. Because that's just the average. And it's crazy to me when you think about it like that. And yeah, they didn't have modern medicine and all that. So then you're saying, well, if the average reproduction, that means they're still producing more as they got older too. So the idea that that's why I did a video 2 days ago, maybe we've actually not living nearly as long as what the ancestors did. All right, so 3 further factors may indicate we have underestimated the amount of deleterious mutations, essentially per person, if you will. First, insertions and deletions also contribute to the genomic mutation rate. They're just going to insert and delete stuff. And genomic, And human pseudogenes, estimated rates of deletions and insertions are only 2.5% to 1% respectively of the point mutation rate. But insertions and deletions in coding sequences are likely to be unconditionally deleterious, indicating that they might increase our estimate of U for hominids by about 10%. Remember, U is the number of bad mutations essentially per person. So we might be underestimating the number of bad mutations per person. Second, we have estimated the rate of deleterious mutation only within protein coding sequences, but there are elements important for gene expression that are found upstream and downstream of genes within introns. Not sure what intron is. All right, let's keep going. All right, although calculations of mutation rates in humans have been made previously, our study is, to our knowledge, the first detailed analysis of molecular constraint in hominid lineages. With conservative assumptions, we estimate that there have been about 1.5 new deleterious mutations per generation in hominid protein coding sequences. Are you hearing that? Every generation, we're adding to the number of bad mutations. The deleterious mutation rate appears to be so high in humans and our close relatives that it's doubtful that such species, which have low reproductive rates, could survive if mutational effects on fitness were to combine in a multiplicative way. Our results instead indicate that our synergistic epistasis may occur between deleterious mutations and hominids at least. So this isn't... So they can't explain why we're still here. So they throw out this thing, synergistic epistasis, to say that might be. So again, the idea this is fact. Fact, evolution is fact. So I go back to my man, John Sanford, and he talks about page 110. He says, it's funny. All right, let's see, hold on just a second, read this right here. As mentioned earlier, we are all highly mutant, so selection must be between more mutant So selection must be between more mutant versus less mutant individuals. There are 2 ways of measuring who is more mutant. The first, which is of minor importance, is the question, who has the most mutations? The second, which is primarily important, is who has the worst mutations. The model described by Crow and only considers the former, All right, not the latter, who has the most mutations. Hence the Crow model. Oh wait, I went the wrong way. All right, there we go. We'll get back to Crow later on. So give me bear with me just a second. I screwed up, but anyway, that's okay. That's okay. In dealing with the concepts above, referring to Crow in particular, one will encounter the term synergistic epistasis. Epistasis. When I first encountered this phrase, I was very impressed. In fact, I was intimidated. It seemed to speak to a very deep understanding, a deep knowledge which I did not possess. As I have seen it used more and more and have understood these issues better, I believe that I understand the term better. It is a sophisticated sounding expression signifying nothing. It has all the appearance of deliberate obfuscation. Literally translated, synergistic epistasis means literally interactive interaction. Does that help us? Fancy terminology is often used to hide lack of understanding. Punctuated equilibrium is an example. It sounds so impressive but explains little. To the extent that we can attribute any meaning to the term synergistic epistasis, it means that mutations interact such that several mutations cause more damage collectively than would be predicted by the individual effects. All right. So again, we don't know. And this guy doesn't know. No one knows. That's what's crazy. Let's see. Our results indicate that synergistic epistasis may occur between deleterious mutations in hominids, at least. How it may occur, right? Interactive interactions. That's what the synergistic epistasis is. However, the level of constraint in hominid protein coding sequences is very low. Roughly half of all new non-synonymous mutations appear to have been accepted. Low constraint could result from the fixation of slightly deleterious mutations in species with small, long-term effective population sizes. We already talked about from the relaxation of selection or the high rate of adaptive substitution. The first of these explanations seem the most plausible because N in hominids is expected to be atypically low. If deleterious new mutations are accumulating at present, this could have damaging consequences for human health. But this would depend critically on the frequency, distribution, and fitness effects of mutant alleles about which we know little. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? If deleterious new mutations are accumulating at present, this could have damaging consequences for human health. Are bad mutations happening? Yes, unequivocally. But this would depend critically on the frequency, distribution, and fitness effects on mutant alleles, I don't know what that is, about which we know little. There you go. We're not evolving. Human health is at stake here. Right here, man. It can have damaging consequences for human health. I mean, how else can you say that's evolving? And then again, at the very beginning, if even a small fraction of these mutations are deleterious and removed by selection, it is difficult to explain how human populations could have survived. I mean, can we agree that there's no factual basis that evolution is happening in terms of us becoming split from chimpanzee? It's all theoretical. That's okay. Stop this idea. It's factual, though. It's just not, man. It's nuts. On top, we split from chimpanzees. Selection is taking a break. Synergistic epistasis, interactive interactions. It's all just, look, I'm not saying these guys are crazy. I'm just saying the problem is that they can't challenge the orthodoxy. Reminds me of the incel keys and the negative things on cholesterol and fat and all this stuff, and eat processed foods that are high in carbohydrates but low in fat. That would be good. And if you challenge it, you're freaking wrong. No different than Enoch Semmelweis challenging the doctors of the time. Midwifery, that's what they call it. Midwifery was delivering babies very, very well. The docs of the time were not, because the docs of the time were freaking affecting other pregnant women. But you say anything, you're freaking yesterday's news. They're like, get out of here. How much other crap have been like that? Tons. I can't even imagine economics. Economics is probably a little bit more open because it's not, science. I mean, they try, but it's not. It's becoming less so because of econometrics. We got to all know this. That's nuts. But the point being, if we aren't evolving, we're devolving as a human species, which unequivocally we are. And on top of that, doesn't that just say, what else have I overlooked because I thought differently than what is true, especially in terms of evolution, especially in terms of the mankind, where we came from. Did we come from a fine, infinite creator, or do we come from a primordial soup? If we came from a creator, because you can't prove that we didn't. Yeah, I can't prove a negative, I get it. But they try to prove that we came from a primordial soup and a big bang. They can't prove it. It's all theory, all speculation. And I can't prove we came from God. But our evidence that we came from an intelligent being is a hell of a lot better than theirs. That's for doggone sure. And if it is, maybe you can change your hope a little bit. And what John says that he goes at the end of the day is we are going to die, our species as a whole. But they said, but there is hope. There is hope. And he finds, I'll share with you his hope real quick. It is my personal belief that Jesus is our hope. I believe that apart from him, there is no hope. 100%. He gave us life in the first place, so he can give us new life today. He made heaven and earth in the first place. He can make a new heaven and earth in the future. Because he rose from the dead, we can be raised from death, even that death which is already enveloping us. In these profound yet simple truths, I believe there is hope. I believe that this is the hope which is unshakable, because I believe it's founded on the one who is eternal. It is hope that has withstood the attacks of time and the corruption of religion. It is a hope that freely given to anyone who will receive it today. I humbly put before you this alternative paradigm for your consideration. Jesus is our one true hope. Man, I just got shivers up. Whoa. Just got massive amount of shivers right there. I put this for your consideration, the alternative to the current paradigm. Jesus is our one true hope. It is a hope that has withstood the attacks of time and the corruption of religion. It is a hope freely given to anyone who will receive it. I hope you find that hope too. Because once you find that hope, man, it's all good. I'm telling you, it's all good. You don't have to worry about it. You can be like Lazarus and laugh. All right, love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you.